Hello and welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today fame. Dad, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. We got a great show on deck for our listeners today. We're going to talk a little basketball with Raymond coach Tony Tadlock, who's fresh off another 4A championship, his fifth at Raymond. And hopefully Tony's going to stick around and talk a little SEC basketball tournament with us.
It's incredible what he's done at Raymond High School. I mean, he's one of the best high school hoops coaches we've had around here in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get into it with Tony here in a minute. I want to do a quick rundown of the last week and get your take on it, Dad. The big three baseball teams in Mississippi, I believe, went 8-2 last week. No, 10-2. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct that. 10-2 last week. Ole Miss went 4-0, swept Jacksonville State over the weekend. Mississippi State 4-0, swept Queens out of North Carolina 4-0. And then USM took 2 of 3 from UNC Wilmington after taking it on the chin up there in Starkville in the midweek. Dad, I think the trio are a combined 36-10 as we go to wrap up the non-conference slate for pretty much everybody. SEC baseball opens this weekend. You know, what's your take so far, and how far do you think these teams can go?
I think all three of them are capable of winding up in Omaha.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, yeah, and it's probably not going to happen. But
right.
But if you know, we've talked about over the years, you and I have talked about it a million times, it's all about getting hot at the right time. And these are three teams that are capable of being hot in May and June. I mean, they are quality baseball teams, all three of them. I
think so, too. Dad, in other news, before we get into the SEC basketball, the Sun Belt tournament is already over. Troy punched their ticket. Southern Miss.
Great game, by the way. I watched some.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
We played Arkansas State.
Yeah.
Southern Miss finished their season 11-22 with a 78-64 loss to Georgia Southern. It's Jay Ladner's sixth season at the helm. Boy, they just couldn't get over it again with the injury bugs and just,
It was just, the couple players that they didn't get eligible, a couple big injuries.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, it's a hard job. They got to find some players.
Absolutely. Dad, in other news, before we get in with our guest Tony, the Bailey Howell trophies got handed out Monday, and you were –
Bailey Howell Trophy and the Gillum Trophy, yeah.
Yeah, and you were you went to Philadelphia and did an interview with Victoria Vivians there.
That was fun.
How did everything go, and what did you think about the winners? Like, it was Mississippi State, Josh Hubbard
won the Howell Trophy, and Madison Scott won the Gillum Trophy of Ole Miss. I'm assuming that the Howell Trophy voting, they don't, the Hall of Fame never releases it, but I'm guessing it had to be really close because you compare Josh Hubbard's stats with Sean Padula at Ole Miss, and they're very comparable. And then Madison Scott, I thought, was the clear winner for Ole Miss. She does so many things for that team. Watched her in the SEC tournament some. She is a great women's basketball player. It was a great event. It was really fun for me to reconnect with Victoria Vivians because I was the director of the Hall of Fame the night that she broke the state and national scoring records, and went over to Forrest, and she handed me the basketball and later handed me her uniform.
Oh, wow. Which is still on display.
It's still on display at the Hall of Fame. I mean, what she did, scoring over 5,000 points in high school, is just incredible.
It is. And what a great career she had at Mississippi State, too. Well, without further ado, Dad, let's get into it with Raymond coach Tony Tadlock. Really excited to have Tony on.
Yes, sir.
Without further ado, let's welcome in our guest today, Raymond basketball coach Tony Tadlock, fresh off the 5th championship at Raymond for you. So congratulations again on all your success.
I appreciate you guys for having me this morning.
Absolutely, man. So, Tony, I want to go back to the beginning of the season. As you pointed out after the game the other day, nobody had you guys in the preseason rankings. You had lost 8 seniors off of last year's championship team, 6 of whom went on to play college basketball somewhere. How did you guys put together another championship run, given that it looked like a rebuild at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think our culture speaks for itself. Each year we're having to replace so many guys. I think I said this yesterday. We had an interview, and it's either 4 or 5 years out of the 8 I've been there. I've been here. We've had to replace at least 4 or 5 out of our, starting 5. And so I've never had a group where I can say, okay, they're 10th graders. They're going to start as 10th graders, 11th grade, 12th grade. I haven't had the luxury of that, which is a good thing too, because in our program, we kind of have that mentality, next man up. And even though this group may not have been, the star-studded where, you had the E.J. Pavemans and those guys, Kemaris Lewis, Makai Strong, those guys. But at the end of the day, this group was a well-rounded team. Each and every night, this guy could give you 12, this guy could give you 10, this guy could give you 9. And I think that's a little bit harder to prepare for because you start keying in on guys, especially on the high school level, because some teams aren't quite as talented. So, if you can stop this guy or if you can stop that guy, you got a chance to be successful. But with us, we kind of did it by committee, like evident of the state championship game. I had 2 kids that didn't play a whole lot in the semifinal game just because of matchups. But I knew they were going to have to play a lot in the state championship game because of the matchup with Morton. And so that's one thing that we were very versatile this year when it came to different rotations, different lineups. And it's funny that you say we lost eight seniors. My best player from the summer actually tore his ACL in November, so we didn't even really get him this year. And he averaged about 15 a game during the summer. And so I really started, questioning, what did we do wrong? And so, but things started to fall into place. And it's funny too. I want to mention this. I made a post. I think we were 12-6, and I made a post, and it kind of, people went with it. And I said, cupcakes are only good at baby showers and weddings. And we had lost 6 games, all of them to 5, 6, or 7, 8 schools. And I made that post, and it was somebody had done a rankings, and it showed the top 5 in 4A, and we weren't in there. And I just kind of felt like we were slighted a little bit. And like I said, I don't really get big into rankings, but I am going to protect our program, and I am going to promote our guys as much as I can. And so at that moment, all 5 of those teams that were in there, don't get me wrong, they were great teams, and a couple of them should have been in the Coliseum talent-wise, but none of those 5 made it to Jackson. So that's one thing I always talk about. Rankings really don't matter until the end. If you win it, of course, you'll be number 1. But I am going to promote our program and our team, and I just felt like just because we had played a tough schedule, they didn't have us in the rankings, just because of what our record looked like.
Well, Tony, how many of this year's team were seniors?
I have 8 more seniors. 5 of them started. So you can add another one of those. And then next year, I have 8 more seniors. So, one thing that I've done, Mr. Cleveland, I've kind of changed the way that I do tryouts now. Used to, I would take about 23 to about 27 guys, and that's including 9th grade to high school, or 9th grade to 12th. And so one thing I've done now, and a lot of people think I'm crazy for this, we keep about 40 kids on our team. And they're like, how do you have practice? How are you able to do that? Well, of course, it takes great assistance. It takes great planning. It takes a great culture to where guys understand, hey, we do a lot of station work. We do a lot of skill work, especially in the preseason and off season. And because one thing I do know, out of the 40 that we have, we may lose 1 or 2 along the way. So I'd rather lose 1 or 2 and still have 37, 38. And now when we have a big senior class of 8, 9 guys, we still got 26 guys coming back that's heard the same message, the same language. They understand what we're all about. And so it's really worked out well for us.
That's incredible. I mean, keeping 36, 38 guys on a basketball roster, you really do have a culture there.
We do. And the thing is, and I want to, even say this, we really don't have a lot of issues. Like when I say parent issues, player issues, wondering why they're not on varsity, wondering why they're not playing. One thing, I'm very transparent. Like I will have, when I say my open door policy, I really only have a door. It's so open. I want people to come to me and ask, what can their child do, to get on the floor. But most of the time, the kid already goes home and tells their mom, I'm not quite ready for varsity. It's a different level here. And again, that's just because, we keep so many kids and we're year round. The guys are in the gym early in the mornings, they stay late. And then, of course, in the summer, we don't stop. I'm running the bus all over the state from different camps to different games just so we can continue to get better. And, try to continue to be the standard in the state of Mississippi.
I mean, the results kind of speak for themselves. I put on my math hat this morning and did the numbers. I mean, I think you're 218-49 now in 8 years. It's a 77.5 winning percentage. Raymond's lost 11 games in 2 calendar years. I'm guessing those stick with you a lot more than the than the wins do. But, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself there. Tony, now before this, you won a championship as an assistant at Meridian, correct?
Yes, sir. 2017, we won a state championship.
So that's 6 total for you as a coach. I guess, if you had, and I'm looking at the results this year, Tony, and I wanted to pick your brain about this. I'm looking at these champions, the list of the teams that won the championship, and it's like Germantown, Ridgeland, Canton, Raymond. It seems that all of the Jackson metro suburb teams are just getting better and better every year. I mean, started it at Raymond, but we've got, all these other schools that are now coming along. We had the Clinton run before that. Right. What do you attribute that to? Is it the talent kind of moving out of Jackson?
It's funny. I saw y'all's podcast the other day on that. I saw y'all's show in regards to that, I think last week. We talked about that. I mean, you look at the run, like even though Brandon hadn't won it, I mean, they've been right there in the Coliseum multiple times. Clinton won 2 or 3 championships in about a 4 or 5 year run. Of course, our success. And then you could even go back and say, of course, Canton, their run, Germantown,
Northwest Rankin.
Madison Central this year. Northwest Rankin won it in 23 against, they played Brandon that year. And so Pearl this year made it to the quarterfinals for the first time in a long time and got beat by Biloxi. So I do think a lot of, people are moving outside of Jackson. And I think a lot of people are recognizing that, they can, take their kid out, they can move out and of course have success because, I mean, you think about that team at Germantown, a lot of their parents were Murrah alums. I mean, they were,
I covered their daddies.
Yeah, right.
I was just about to say, I know really well. And so, but the thing is, when you talk about just different things that attribute to that, because one thing I will say at Raymond, we do have a lot of homegrown kids. We don't get a lot of move-ins, but I do know, I mean, just being honest, there's a lot of people that inquire, over the last couple of years about what would it take to come down there. And I've even heard, different parents I know throughout the area, taking their kid to Germantown or whatever it may be, just because they want their kid in that environment, especially with that championship culture.
Well, Tony, I appreciate you sticking around and talk a little SEC basketball tournament with us. I got to ask you one more question.
I got to ask him something, too.
Oh, we got 2 more questions for you then. Okay. The first one here is for me. At the end of last season, there were a lot of job openings around the state. And, it seemed like it was going to be a big year of change. You saw Carlisle leave, as you see. But you stuck in Raymond and kind of, put together another team that was capable of winning the state championship. And it just felt like it was going to be a big rebuild. I think a lot of people expected you to maybe make a change. Was there a particular reason that you stuck around? And can you kind of take us through that process?
Yes, it's funny that you asked that because there were a lot of jobs from Clinton, Gulfport, Northwest Rankin, Starkville. And I will tell you this, too. I'm not afraid to tell you. I do listen when people call because I think that we all work hard enough in this business to when people call, you do want to hear what they have to say. And just naturally, I mean, it is nice to be wanted. It is nice to know that people do appreciate your work that you do. And, there was a couple that, I mean, were very intriguing as well. I mean, it didn't work out for, a couple of reasons. But I will say this. I've always said it would take a lot for me to leave Raymond just because Raymond gave me a chance when nobody else did. I was in year 6 of my coaching career at Meridian. There was a lot of job openings at the time. Nobody really called. So when the Raymond job came open, Coach Green, he actually called Randy Bolden and was like, hey, Coach, do you think, Tony would want to come back and to the Jackson area and, because I'm originally from Pearl and be the coach here. And Randy was like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's something he would definitely consider. And so anyways, he, of course, the ball went rolling and ended up getting the job there. And I always wanted to remain loyal to Raymond just because they didn't have to hire me. I didn't know a soul at Raymond. My folks weren't on the school board. I didn't have anybody that was connected other than Coach Green calling and asking Randy, did I want to be the coach there? So I always knew, I said, for them to take a chance on me, I want to prove them right. But there were a lot of jobs. And like I say, every job I just named was a 7-8 job. And most of them are premier jobs. And the money was great. The schedule was flexible. But I'm glad it worked out the way it did. And, one of the biggest things, too, I've always said, it would even have to take a lot, for even the next level. Like, I'd want it to be a perfect situation if I decide to leave Raymond. I got my grandparents there. I'm very close to them. They still live in Pearl. They come to a lot of games, and they mean a lot to me. And so we've built a great culture. Our community is 100% behind us at Raymond. And so I really enjoy being a part of Ranger Nation and what it has to offer. But there was a lot of talks. There were a lot of talks last year about different moves and jobs, and Carlisle's going to go here. I'm going to go here, and the next
right.
guy. But to be honest with you, that's why this championship was the most satisfying, because, I didn't want to run to greener pastures either. I didn't want to be known to be that coach that, hey, when talent may not be the same, no, let's figure it out. And I think this year, it opened a lot of people's eyes, which, to be honest, I don't really do it for other people. I just do it for our program. But I know when it comes to people talking about, coaching and all that kind of stuff, you can't say, oh, they just win because of talent. Because, obviously now, and I still think, personally, I think we had a talented team. But, across the board, according to the experts, we weren't near what we were. But like I say, one thing that we do, we're going to roll up our sleeves every day and go to work at Raymond and get it done.
Tony, I have a comment and then a question. The comment is, I don't know how much of a student of the history of high school basketball in Mississippi you are, but what you're doing right now at Raymond is Burt Jenkins-like.
I know Burt Jenkins because we actually went down to Gulfport and won that tournament last year, so I'm very familiar with Gulfport High School.
Well, Burt's the best coach I've ever covered at any level, college, professional, anything. He's the best. And what you're doing right now is comparable to what he did. My question is, as you know, I saw you out there when I came out for a was it district or South State?
Quarterfinals.
Round, and y'all weren't playing. But it was my first visit to that facility. How old is it, and who built it, and who was the architect? That is a great basketball facility.
Yes, and I want to give a lot of credit to the citizens of Hinds County. We passed a bond issue about 4 or 5 years ago. Well, 5 years ago now, because we were building it during COVID, and that's one reason why it took a little bit longer to build, just because of materials and things like that. But when I tell you it's state of the art, and the thing that I love about it, nobody is in there every day except basketball. Like, nobody uses the weight room. It's not a PE gym. Like, we're the only people in the gym the entire day, the girls basketball team and the boys basketball team. So when I tell you it is really, really state of the art, we built it. We finished it in 2021. We opened it up in December of 2021 against Terry High School. And, of course, that's our rival. And that gym that night, I think we sold either 17 or 1,800 tickets. And so for a high school game in Mississippi, 1,700 people, that's obviously a lot. And each year when we play Clinton, we play Terry, play games like that, I mean, it looked just like it did the night you were out there. I mean, it was a lot of people. And I want to say one of the reasons why they moved it from Clinton that year, because they got to where they couldn't even let people in. And so I'm not sure the nights that you were out there, but I know Pelahatchie versus Boca Chitta game that night, it was as close as you could get to being at capacity. And so MHSA, we actually hosted the 1A South last year, and they were going to go to Jackson State this year. But Jackson State sent them back a bill that was outrageous. And so we welcomed them with open arms, and they were like, would y'all mind hosting 1, 2, and 3A? And we were actually still, of course, in the playoffs. And I told my administration, like, bring them down here. If we got to go practice at Hinds, if we got to go to Mississippi College, whatever we have to do, I want to make sure people just like you, able to come down and check it out, and people can see what we have. Because, if you're not on social media following me or any of our administration, you don't even realize we have that out there. And so I try to do a good job of promoting that for our community. But, we get, 4,000 or 5,000 people down there that's unexpected, then they can go promote it themselves. And so I'm glad you got a chance to come down and check it out, because it's definitely one of the best, if not the best, in the state.
It'd be a hard place to leave. I mean, you're not going to go any place that has a much better facility than that.
There's not many. I mean, you can arguably say there may be 2 or 3 JUCOs in the state that have one comparable. Itawamba is very nice. I mean, there's a couple of them that's nice, but that one right there is very nice. And so we definitely take pride in having that as our home gym.
Well, I'm sure they take pride in having you. You brought them 5 championships. I think it was well worth the investment in you and the arena. Tony, I appreciate you sticking around to talk SEC tournament with us. We've got an exciting slate of games this week in Nashville. Just looking at it off the top, just to run down, Ole Miss gets the 8th seed. They're going to play the South Carolina-Arkansas winner on Thursday. We'll start with them since they're a little bit higher seed. I guess the bad part of the draw is that they would have to play Auburn if they should win that game. You've seen them a lot this year, Dad. We'll start with you. What do you think of their chances against that South Carolina-Arkansas winner?
Oh, I think they'll be favored no matter who, no matter which one it is. But, I wrote a column that I don't know if it's published yet or not, but it will come out today for Mississippi Today about the league from top to bottom is better than it's ever been. I mean, South Carolina,
they're the last seed.
They're the last seed. They can beat you on any given day. Hell, they won at Clemson, and Clemson's what, top 10?
Right.
Ole Miss will be favored, but they better play well.
Yeah.
And then that next game, I'm telling you,
I don't know how anybody beats Auburn.
Auburn is just a terrific college basketball team. What do you think, Tony?
It's funny you say that about South Carolina. I'm trying to think who they blew it against early in the year. Was it Auburn at South Carolina or Kentucky? It was one of them. They had it was Auburn. They missed 2 free throws to beat them early in the year. And, of course, that's the last seed, in the SEC. And I saw where Chris Beard sat down Matt Morrell the other day. He said he wanted to save him for Nashville. And I was thinking in my mind, you don't want to concede games, but I guess he's saving him for Arkansas and South Carolina because that next game against Auburn, I know Auburn just beat them pretty good the other day. And, of course, Broome being SEC Player of the Year, they're just loaded from top to bottom. I mean, I know Florida and Tennessee can run with them, but, and even Alabama. But Auburn, of course, they're unbelievably loaded. Just piggybacking on what you said, too, I used to grow up, me and my granddad used to go eat a little breakfast place in Pearl, and I'd be 5 years old with a newspaper in my hand. So I've probably read more articles that you've written at a young age just because, I would get the sports section and people would sit around and be like, does he even know how to read? And, of course, I'm reading top to bottom every article. And so I've never seen the conference like this. It's really unbelievable because a couple years ago it was a joke that how can they be so good in football, but basketball is so bad. And now it's going to be a record amount of teams making the tournament. And, of course, I know you added, Texas and Oklahoma, but those two aren't even, the powerful ones anymore. I mean, Alabama's become basketball. Auburn has become basketball. I mean, look at A&M. They've become, heavy basketball. So I also accredit this, too, now when you go get Bruce Pearls and Chris Beers and guys like that. I mean, the coaching, nothing against the guys before them, but you have some top guys. I mean, look what Chris Beard has done, to change that culture up there. And, they'll be lucky to hang on to him if Indiana don't snatch him up. But, he's done a good job. I mean, Chris Jans at Mississippi State. I mean, and it just shows you how tough that league is because one week you can be top 15, you lose 2 games that week and you're out of the top 25.
That's
so,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked me when did Alabama and Auburn get so good at basketball? I said, well, when they hired those coaches, when they hired Bruce, you know what I mean? It kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, but, again, part of my column was that it's better top to bottom now. But you look at back in the 1980s and 1990s with the star power was different then. I mean, you didn't have guys going out after their freshman years. I mean, you had teams like – there's one year that Wimp had 5 future NBA players starting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it, Tony, I don't know. The 1996 State Kentucky Conference Championship game had 11 future NBA players playing in it. As good as the league is this year, I'm not sure there's 11 NBA players.
Right.
I mean, it's just different. It's a different deal now.
Yeah. I was just going to say that Richard Williams was actually my 9th grade coach at Pearl High School the one year he did high school. And he showed us that game multiple times, that Kentucky-Mississippi State game that you're talking about.
I bet he did.
He showed us the Final Four run as well. So I feel fortunate. I actually got a chance to go to Mississippi State game this year. And, of course, he does the radio for them now. And so we even talk about those Final Four runs and things like that because he'll bring up my season and he'll just give me some, quick advice about, Well, on our run in '96, and so he brings that group up, of course, a whole lot.
Well, I'm glad you guys mentioned Mississippi State. We're going to get to them. They are the 10 seed in the tournament.
Isn't that unbelievable?
I know. And they're a great team. They are slated to play LSU in the first round on Wednesday. If they should win, they would face Missouri in the second game. And then I think Florida would be waiting in the third round. Well, it helps to get that double bye, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what do you think of the Dogs' chances in this? And with our boy, our Bailey Howell winner, Josh Hubbard at the helm here?
Well, I think they would probably be favored in both. I mean, even in that second round. I mean, I like State against Missouri.
Well, I think they got obviously a clearer run to make a deep run in this tournament just because of the matchups. And, as we've said all year, I think they're just a little more physical, which would probably help this time of year, as compared to Ole Miss. I just feel like they showed it when they played them twice, beat them twice. I mean, I just think they're a little more physical team.
They're also deeper.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I was going to mention the same thing. Even on the night Hubbard doesn't go for 20, 25, they can still win. And I think the both times that they beat Ole Miss this year, he didn't just have spectacular games, but Cameron Matthews, Murphy, those guys. And then I went and watched them play around Christmas time. And like you said, Tyler, like they're very physical, and I think they're more physical than Ole Miss. I like Dia from Ole Miss, but he, I'm not going to say he's soft, but he doesn't bang like those bigs from Mississippi State. And of course, State has some really good wings as well. The Riley Kugel kid and Melendez, of course, they're big, strong wings. And so I definitely agree that they have a chance to make a stronger run. I saw on Twitter yesterday somebody posted Mississippi State's the type of team that'll get beat in the first round and they got a chance to make a run to the Sweet 16. They kind of got that same, because they've lost 4 out of 5. So, like, where are they at mentally right now? But if they can kind of get hot in Nashville and get that thing turned around, I think they can make a run. But it goes back to what we talked about, too, how deep it is. I mean, you can lose 4 out of 5 and still be a really good team in the SEC.
Yeah, that schedule is just absolutely brutal here at the end of the year.
Yeah. While we're on State, tell us about EJ. What EJ Payman?
So he when he went up there, he had to take a class in the summer, so he missed the practices. He had to take a class that did not transfer from the school in Pennsylvania. And so, of course, we all thought the best thing for him to do was redshirt. So he came back. Of course, he's come back. We've seen him at football games on Friday during the fall and stuff like that, or he'd come out of the gym. But one day he got out there, of course, and he practiced with us. And, of course, he had, like, his practice stuff on. And we looked, and we were like, my goodness. He has gained so much muscle and just muscle mass just by being at Mississippi State for 4 or 5 months at that time. And you can just tell the difference in an SEC weight program because, his shoulders were like Cameron Matthews. And I was like, man, you left here. And like I said, he lifted weights a lot. But of course, it's just totally different because they're like just feeding him protein all day long. And he was like at 233, 6'9". Just built like a grown man. And of course, you can see he's gotten a lot quicker and just his overall confidence. You're going against Cameron Matthews every day. So I can assure he's going to humble you really quick and make you understand where you got to improve. But he's enjoyed it up there. He loves Coach Jans. And one thing about EJ, he's super coachable. Like, he's a great kid. I never had an issue with him with an attitude, nothing in the 3 years he was at Raymond. And so, I hope everything continues to work out well for him there because I know Mississippi State has always built their teams around those Mississippi guys. There's DJ Stewart's, Rodney Hoods, those guys over the years, Quindary Weatherspoons, tough Mississippi kids that are going to be loyal to that program.
Goes all the way, goes back a long way. Go back to that Final Four team, Eric Dampier, man, he was the difference. He's what got him to the medal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's funny this year in the semifinals, we actually played against Itawamba, which was Darrell Wilson, and so me and him are good friends as well. So I know he was a key factor on that Final Four team as well.
Double D.
Double D. Okay, Tony, we really appreciate your time today, and I know you're, enjoying your spring break. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on with us, and we'll have to do this again. We'll have to do this again soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate being on today, and I got a lot of respect for both of you all, and continue to do great things.
Well, we appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks again to Tony for joining us. Dad, Players Championship teeing off this weekend. I know you playing in a big tournament this weekend, so you're not going to watch, but you give Scotty Scheffler a chance to defend here at Sawgrass?
Yeah. What do you think?
It's like betting on Babe Ruth to hit a home run.
Watch out for Colin Morikawa, though.
Yeah, Dad, we are now exactly 30 days away from the opening round of the Masters.
My favorite time of the year. That's all I can say.
Mine too, buddy. And good luck this weekend in the State Floorball.
All right.
Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and be safe out there.